So great to have you all here. I hope you have had a wonderful short week. Those of you in Australia who enjoyed the long weekend, completely missed it last week, found out right towards the end that it was a short week. And so, congratulations to me. I had an extra day, but I did manage to do quite a bit of work on the spare day off. Now, thank you so much to all your questions in the last week. Now, there have been quite a number of those that are around, again, security topics. And so I will try and address one or two of those quickly. But if you are interested in learning more about security and cybersecurity, I will be hosting an event at the Australian Computer Society in Sydney later in November. I will leave a link in the description below for this event, and you're welcome to come along. I will have two of my great colleagues in regards to answering some of these questions, but I know that I've had a ton of these come through from you this week, and so I wanted to address some of them more specifically because they are becoming a lot more common. And one of the key ones is around phishing. And I know this is becoming so more prevalent by the fact that we are starting to see generative AI start to be used more and more in phishing emails, which is kind of concerning because of the fact that they can therefore become far more prevalent and far more easy to seem as legitimate. So let's go through a couple of quick ones on having a look at what phishing emails can be. So, to my point earlier, some of the most obvious ways to know that you're being phished is when you see these emails come through, they're written quite poorly. The graphics do not line up. They do not seem quite legitimate. And you will understand that because you probably see quite a few emails from, be it suppliers, if you're online retailers, etc., they're very well structured, very well written, and they are clean and finished, and they will appear so. So if you're starting to see something that doesn't look right, most likely from that start, it is unright. The other one that is a pretty simple giveaway is that there'll be an attachment. Now, if someone sent you something with some details around, here's your tracking item, but here's the attachment, likelihood is that that is a phishing email, and I would suggest you never click on any attachments without validating whether or not that's legitimate. Also, keep a note, if they're asking for specific sensitive information or personal information, generally speaking, in an upfront email, that would be a good indication it's phishing. If they're suggesting that you need to respond within a time frame, i.e. within the next 24 hours, that again, highly likely to be a phishing. If there is something as an offer that seems too good to be true, please realize it is definitely too good to be true. And finally, if it addresses, but it's not to you. So if you're seeing these emails come through and it could be a blanket name or it could be someone else's name, best thought to be is to remove that from your mailbox, shift, delete, and get rid of it so that you don't have to concern yourself with that again. Now, another question I've had a lot around recently is what is an APT? And this is probably because we're starting to see a lot more in the news and around consistent breaches. I posted up earlier this week an infographic which was amazing to see how many organisations, large ones such as Dimmicks, Pizza Hut, for example, that have been breached recently, and sort of go a lot along the lines of why APT has started to increase visibility within the media, let's call it. So what is an APT? It's an advanced persistent threat. So generally speaking, this isn't the sort of people that are one or two man bands that are going around checking on the internet, seeing what's available. They're well funded, and generally speaking, they are state funded type of cyber criminals. In fact, these organizations are well known for being able to get into what we would call critical infrastructure or critical services such as finance and defense as well. And they do this in a manner that is specifically strategic. So, I'll give you an example. A recent report released in the US states that on average, an APT is found to be dwelling within an organization for over 70 days. Now, that's in the US statistically. In Europe, in Asia, APTs are found to dwell for over 200 days. What does this mean? It means that for around 200 days, they have already been embedded within an organization and are pretty familiar with the insides and outsides of the organization, exfiltrated what data they needed to, and have also secured themselves a backdoor entry if they choose to in the future, because generally speaking, they will have exfiltrated what they do. They will either create an event or they will have what data they need and exit the network that they've attempted to compromised or have compromised, I should say. So, generally speaking, these APTs are highly advanced and they use all kinds of methodology, not just in the fact that they use tooling to compromise vulnerabilities within an organization, but they are very good at researching how to get into an organization, including terms such as social engineering. So, they will research a particular person or persons of interest within an organization, socially engineer them using well executed malware, which is highly advanced to be able to gain themselves access to within an organization. Now, the reason they do this is because they have a strategic objective within mind. And again, these organizations are well funded and you just need to look at some of the well-known media broadcasted versions of people that have been breached by the Lazarus Group as an example to see how long these organizations take to achieve their outcomes. So they're very familiar with the vulnerabilities out there. They're very familiar with how to socially engineer. And once they're in, they use a lot of what they call lateral movement within an organization to be able to get access to the required systems that they need. This includes using tools like privilege escalation, where they enter as a layman and then find their way through to the escalation chain to become an administrator within an organization. And therefore, it is important to note that whilst these APTs are very difficult to defend against, and average organizations don't have the means or the funds, working with a specific security advisor or a technology group that does security, you can work on changing the traditional responses to these sort of organizations by using terms such as threat hunting, where we can utilize tools to do in-depth analysis on activities within an organization using Yara rules, which is a very different tool. And I will answer some of those around that in an upcoming session against that as well. But the reason being is because these organizations are so researched and founded, but also funded, these organizations will not fall victim, let's call it, to standard tooling, monitoring, and methodologies because they will be well aware of these and will do their best to work around them so that they can stay dormant and not detected for months even. I mean, on average, 200 days in Europe and Asia. That's quite a long time to stay dormant. Up to 6 months, they can be within a network undetected. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an understanding of APT. Are there ways to defend against it? Absolutely. There is absolutely advanced tooling, but it is advanced systems that you need to utilize because standard ways of procedures such as anti-malware, antivirus, etc., will not do so. And if you are a honeypot for data or information, these organizations will definitely do their best to target you because that's their primary goal. An objective is to create an event or to exfiltrate really highly sensitive personal information. Now, I hope that gave you a little bit of a sneak peek into what APTs are, a little bit around what phishing is, how to keep an eye out for it, because obviously phishing is a great entry point for malware within your organization. Now, if you have any other questions, please feel free to send them through. I'm more than happy to have a one-on-one with you to explain some more details around what an APT is and how you as an organization can defend against them. With any luck, you have had a wonderful short week. I know that it's really difficult for most of us because we have to fit 5 days worth of work in 4 days, and it is school holidays in New South Wales this week. I know Victoria has gone back mostly last week as well. So for those of you who are looking forward to your last weekend on school holidays, be safe, be well, enjoy yourselves. And if I can answer any questions, let me know. As I like to say, think before you click, stay safe. The boogeyman is out there. And until next week, have a wonderful weekend, people, and I'll see you then.